We're now ready to animate, so we're going to go up to the top and click on the animation workspace. I'm going to hit the N key to open up my transform panel, and the first thing that we need to do is to record a keyframe on this first frame. So with my bird control selected, I'm going to hit the I key, and then I'm going to hit location, rotation and scale. Now in order to get this bird to jump up into the air, we actually need to build up some energy, so we need some anticipation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move forwards to around frame 10. Just going to hit Control Tab over the graph editor just to jump me back into the dope sheet here. And I'm just going to frame that up a little bit better. So on frame 10, we want this bird to squash down. So I'm going to hit S to scale and Z to constrain it to the Z axis. And I'll squash this down a little bit. And then I'm going to hit S and Shift Z to scale it out on the other two axes. Now if I hit the 1 key on my numpad, it'll be easier to see how far up in the air we are. So I'm going to hit the G key and Z, and I'm going to translate this down so that we're sitting back on the floor here. Now that we've scaled it and translated it, I'm going to hit the I key and again insert a key. Now you should be able to see as we scrub through the timeline, our bird is squashing down into frame 10. Now I'm going to jump forward to frame 20, which is where we're going to want this bird to be up in the air. So first thing I want to do is reset the scale, and I can do that just by hitting Alt S. Then I can hit G and Z, and we can translate this up in the air, somewhere around there. Again, hit I and set a key. Now I'm going to pick the first keyframe and hit Shift D. I'm just going to drag this along to around frame 29. I'm going to drop back down, and then we'll do another little bounce. So maybe frame 35. Just going to hit G and Z and move this up in the air a little bit. Again, hit I, set a key, drop back down to frame 41. So again, I'm just going to take my frame 29 keyframe, hit Shift D, and move that across to frame 41. Now if we hit the spacebar to play this back, you can see it's got the basic movement in there, but we're going to need to clean up the curves a little bit to make this look a little bit better. So I'm just going to hit Control Tab and hit the little arrow to roll out all my different transform channels. What I'm interested in is the Z location. So I'm going to select that, hit Shift H to hide everything else, and the home key to frame it all up. So by now hopefully you can see that we are slowing out of that first position, slowing into our anticipation. We're then slowing out of the anticipation, slowing in again up at the top, slowing out, slowing in again down at the bottom, and so on. And obviously, as with the bouncing ball, we don't want this slow out at the start, and we don't want this slow in as we come back down. So if I select this keyframe, I can hit the V key, and I can change the handle type here to free. And now I can move this one handle to create this fast out and a slowing up at the top. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. Hit V, change it to free, and adjust these handles. So we're getting a nice bit of hang time up in the air there. And we'll do the same on this side as well. Again, hit V, free, and adjust that. Just make sure that we have a nice shape to this curve here. There we go. Now if I play it back, we've got a little bit more life there. But at the moment, as we take off, we're still squashed. And I want to change that. I want to stretch the bird out as we take off. So on frame 11, we're going to first reset the scale. So I'm going to hit Alt S to reset it. Then I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. So S and Z, just to increase that just a little bit. And S Shift Z, and we'll squash it in a little bit as well. Then I'm going to hit the I key, and in this case I'm just going to key the scale. Then as we play back, we get a little bit more pop as the bird jumps up in the air. Now, I like having this second bounce without the squash and stretch, but I think just to give us a little bit more life and settle at the end here, I do want to squash it down again just a little bit. So I'm just going to go back to the dope sheet for a second. And just a couple of frames on here, maybe frame 43. I'm just going to squash the bird down a little bit. So again, hit S and Z. Just a little. And S, Shift Z, scale it out slightly. And again, G and Z, because we need to make sure it's contacting the floor here. And hit I, and we'll set a key. Again, making sure that we've got both location and scale selected there. And then after the bird has squashed down into place, we need it to recover back again. So I'm going to, on frame 50, just going to copy my first key. So hit Shift D, drag that along to frame 50. Now we've got a little bit of a glitch in here, so I'm just going to jump over to the graph editor to see what's going on. And you can see here that our curves have got a little bit broken here. So I'm just going to select that one handle and just smooth that out. So the bird will come down and smoothly move into that squash position before recovering up. Just that a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so as we play this back, we just got a nice little settle at the end there. So don't forget to save your scene.